Hey, how are you? I'm SliceofOtaku, and Pearl is really something else. Admittedly, when I first started watching the show, I didn't really care for her. It's not like I didn't like her or anything, I just felt neutral towards her for the most part. But really, no character in the show has grown on me like Pearl has. She is at this point one of my favorite characters, and something I'm really fascinated by is just how little we know about this character that we know so well. That's probably a weird thing to say, but what I mean is, at this point we can sort of read Pearl like a book, and her reactions are sometimes predictable in a good way. But despite this, when it comes to her past, we're almost totally in the dark, which is pretty funny considering how much Pearl actually speaks.
I'll never talk.
I wish.
Yeah, she talks a lot.
A common question many of us fans have is who exactly did she belong to on Homeworld, which is something I've already covered in a video, but there are tons of other, I guess, smaller scaled questions about her past that interest me. In this video, I want to discuss Pearl's bizarre fighting style, which you may not have even noticed is pretty strange. So, gems are capable of summoning weapons, and in Pearl's case, she summons a spear, but oddly enough, the show tends to highlight the fact that she's a master swordsman, and the blades that she's used are forged, handcrafted, presumably by Bismuth, considering she essentially outfitted the entire rebellion. And remember, some gems like Lapis, Paradox, Sapphire, they don't summon weapons at all. Notice how all of these gems are not intended for combat by Homeworld. Summoning a weapon is a trait reserved for combative gems, and really, pearls are not combative gems. Pearls are intended to be servants and look pretty. Unfortunately, we've yet to see blue or yellow pearl engage in combat, so we can't exactly draw a comparison there. But maybe our pearl having a weapon is related to her being considered defective. Maybe a combative pearl would be regarded as brutish under Homeworld standards. During their sparring match, Bismuth says some pretty interesting things to Pearl.
Pearl, I don't recall asking you to bring me a spear.
Now you can look at this as a throwaway line if you want, but throughout the entire episode, Bismuth brings up interesting tidbits from the past. In her first interaction with Pearl in that episode, she pokes fun at the whole "who does this Pearl belong to" concept. And when she sees Garnet, she makes a remark about her being a fusion. See, Bismuth is pretty much still in the past, so when she says, "I don't recall asking you for a spear," to me, she seems to be playing the role of a master speaking to a servant, making a joke of Pearl's former master or the former standards imposed on Pearl herself. Another thing we're able to learn from the exchange between these two is that Pearl's laser ability is relatively new. When Bismuth was still around, Pearl seemingly did not have this ability. So at some point between then and the episode On the Run, Pearl manifested this ability, which is another Pearl related mystery I'd love more information on. I've tried to make sense of this myself, but so far nothing concrete seems to be coming together. Maybe you guys can put something together regarding that. If so, I'd love to hear it. I also want to make the point that Pearl must have utilized her spear during the rebellion, considering Bismuth created an upgrade for it before she was bubbled. If Pearl only used swords, Bismuth would probably only make her a new sword. And I think this is all a bit strange considering every piece of imagery we have of Pearl from this time period displays her using swords rather than her spear. And I don't believe Pearl's swordsmanship stems from anything human related, considering not only her previous disdain for humans, but also the fact that humans have never had a war in the world of Steven Universe. And who knows, maybe Pearl just likes to switch it up when it comes to combat, or she feels as though her two swords are more intimidating than her one spear. Whatever the case may be, Pearl utilizing swords is a good display of her individuality. Even if other Pearls are capable of summoning weapons, the case of our Pearl using swords that were crafted is still very peculiar, and is a very prominent attribute of her character that I'm expecting to be properly explained at some point. I just hope that day isn't too far off. But guys, what are your thoughts on Pearl's weaponry and fighting style? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to let me know by leaving a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share the video with anyone who wants to know more about Pearl, and have an awesome day. I love you.